Hello everyone, welcome to this video on the Killing Antidote modding basics. This video is going to cover the very basics of getting a mod ready for the game. Everything needed in this project will be provided or is free to download. Feel free to check the video description below for any required links to the files, or you can get them as we go along. This video does not require you to have any skill level in modding. We're going to be using the already made assets from the official source. You can follow along as I explain the process. The video is broken into relevant sections for easy access, so feel free to jump into the area of knowledge you need. You can post support needs, feedback and suggestions in the comments and on the community Discord. The link is in the description. Let's get started. If you already have the Unreal Engine installed, you can skip this section. You're going to need the Epic Games launcher. You may already have this if you have their games installed. If not, proceed to www.epicgames.com and download the button in the top right corner. Okay, we'll fire up the Epic Games launcher. We'll start with going in the section of the Unreal Engine, the library, and then click on the plus button, and you would like to pick 4.27.2 and then hit install. Set your location where you install it. Place mine in my projects folder, engines, install. This may take a few minutes depending on your machine's capability. Pause the video at this point. Once installed, run the engine to check that everything's installed correctly, and it generates the project folder for you. First time loading may be a bit slower, it gets faster the second time. You should see this menu when you first launch it up. Once you've seen this, simply just cancel for now. Next, we're going to need the official modding source files. You'll find the link in the description. More information can be also found in the main banner of the Steam Workshop page by pressing this button. However, this website is in Chinese, and I recommend you open the link externally by right-clicking and selecting Open Link Address. From there, you can paste it in your browser so you can be translated to English or the language of your choice. We now need to unpack the project files. You can unpack them in the Unreal Projects folder, which is located in My Documents, Unreal Projects, or if you prefer, you can install them anywhere on your hard drive. I have it on a different drive. I've already unpacked these files. You should see this root tree when you've done it. This concludes the installation process. Now let's look at the setup of the Unreal files in the editor. Okay, firstly, let's open the editor, clicking on the U project. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'll be mainly talking from the content browser. Any other window here will not be relevant for this tutorial. I highly recommend clicking Show and Hide Sources panel to see the folder tree. Lastly, before we go into the contents folder, I want to tell you about a workflow. Currently, default, opening assets opens them in a new window. This may not be what you want, especially if you have a lot of assets being opened as you edit. Make them open and stay in the top of the main window for easier navigation. Please do the following. Edit Preferences. Under Appearance, go to this box and change it to Content Browser, and you may close this window. Okay, now let's talk about the contents of the mod. Firstly, your mod will be located in this folder tree. From here, you will see all the assets for each specific mod type. Anything outside of the mod folder is used for instruction of the mod, will not be also exported out. So firstly, make sure that any mod files that you want in the mod are within the mod tree folder. This is considered the root for your mod. To make it easier, I'm going to delete folders and leave only the clothes sample folder. Okay, now Going into the folder root, you can see all the files that are required to make this specific type of mod. This specific type of mod, the clove sample, requires a mesh, an icon, the 3 tables. This is the data that's required to make the pack, and in this folder is the materials and textures required for the asset. We'll go for each one of these one by one, briefly explain what each one does, so that we can then make a copy, export to a pack. Firstly, let's make a new folder. Please pay attention to the folder name and make it unique. This is very important. There's no conflictions with other mods. Also, this folder name is also important for the tables, which I'm covering next. There are 3 tables for each mod. There is the groups, the actual table, and the table consists of the description, version, and the information of the specific mod. Select all the assets, click and drag to the folder, copy here. You may get an error message on your screen saying that this specific asset needs to have a unique name. Firstly, we will rename this to number 3. This updates it automatically and saves it for you. Next, we will make sure to go into these assets and save them all as well. So clicking them one by one and pressing Ctrl S, or clicking Save All, select all the boxes, press Save Selected. Let's go to the first table. First thing you need to do is add in your mod folder tree name in the top. Secondly, in the bottom, add a unique name for the game. And the second box down in the owning, if you have this checked, you'll own it in game from the beginning. If not, if it's unchecked. Drop down the arrow here on localization. Select to no and to yes. This generates a new ID or key for the game, making sure that it does not conflict with any other mod. Save this. The next table is the actual table for each item you have in your mod. For this specific mod, there will be only 1 row. I will not be covering asset creation in this tutorial, but I will obviously quickly glance each asset to see them. So opening the second table, you can see the rows here. You can right click, insert new row. This is where you would add your next items. I'll delete this one for now. So here we see the row name, and this is the only thing you need to change on this row. Double click it here. Me, I'm just going to put a unique fire on the end of it. For the type name, I'm going to provide a list on screen, so pause the video and take notes. We'll also put this in the description. The next 3 attributes, morph weight, heel height and thickness, are also skipping. These I are considering to be a bit more advanced, but more information can be found on the Steam Workshop under the guides section. If we click on the drop down, you will see there's 2, so we need to make one unique. So we'll go back to the main folder tree, select this specific mesh, press F2, and I shall rename that. Go back to the table, and then change that. Okay, next one on the list is materials. I'm going to skip this one, this is a little bit more advanced. Color adjustable. If you check that flag, it will make it so it can be changed color in game. Again, this is a little bit more advanced, as long as you know what the basic setting does. Next is the icon, same principle as the mesh, so we'll need to go back and rename this. Back to the table and select that one. Body mask is advanced again, stops clipping. Sound is basically for feet, so when you have sound you can hear footsteps. Quantity, we'll set that to 1. Price, this is for the vending machine, so we'll leave that at 0. Camera focus is again, it's a bit more advanced, there's more information that are available out there in the guides. animations that we played. I've never actually tried this one myself personally. And the last one you need to set to the folder tree. Save this table and we are done. Okay, the last table. This contains the caption, the description, and the version. You do not need to change the bottom two tables here. This is the names for the injected tables. Save this one. Okay, for the final few things, we're going to the data asset, change the chunk ID to 3. This matches the chunk ID of our name. Lastly, we need to update the materials to make sure they match the asset. These are currently pointing from the original mod. If we give them a unique quick name, not a proper naming convention you'd normally do, but just for the sake of this tutorial, this will work. Okay, switching back to the asset. Make sure that's set to 1. Save that. We can double click the asset from here, or we can go to the material and open it from here. And we lastly just need to change these to the ones. Give this. Close down that. Go back to the main folder tree. And then this is now ready to be cooked into a pack, ready to go into the game. Okay, to cook a mod or pack the file, go to File, Package Project, Windows 64-bit. Place this in a unique folder. I put in tutorial _ build, that folder. First time it bakes or cooks, it may take a little bit longer. The second time you do it, it will be a bit faster. Once this is completed, you can then open up the folder and go to Windows New Editor, the Killing Antidote, Content, and then Packs. You should see 3 pack chunks. Pack 0 is the data that's outside of the mod root tree you do not need. Number 2 is the original mod, closed sample, we don't need that one. And number 3 is the one we've made ourselves. But this also to work, it's very important that you rename this file to match this folder tree. And that concludes this tutorial. You can now move this to your mods folder. When you launch the game, you should see the very same mod with your details or anything you may have changed. Congratulations. I hope this tutorial was useful for you. If you got something out of it, please comment below of any suggestions or feedback on the Discord or in the video.